Now, this is Avebury, ancient Avebury, and this is recognized as a World Heritage Site for its outstanding Neolithic and Bronze Age monuments. I mean, it's full of traces of the ancient past. The first farmers made their mark here almost 6,000 years ago. Avebury Henge, the large bank and ditch you can see in front of us here, was built 4,600 years ago using the tools like antler and bone and probably other tools that may have decomposed, such as wood and rope. The stone circles were constructed soon after. And since then, a pretty little village has grown up in the heart of the monument, making this the only place in the world where you can find a pub and a chapel inside of a prehistoric stone circle. So we're going to take about a 3/4 mile walk around here, and I'll describe to you some of the key points as we move around. So Avebury is a big open-air museum. It's a museum of prehistory with a complex of fascinating stones and sites all gathered around the great Stonehenge or circle. Among England's many stone circles, Avebury is unique because of its vast size. This thing is huge. There's a village tucked into the center of it, we'll see later, and the roads rumble between its stones. Because the surrounding area sports only a thin skin of topsoil over chalk, it is naturally pretty treeless, similar to the area around Stonehenge. Perhaps this unique landscape, where land connects with the big sky, made it the choice of prehistoric societies for the religious monuments. Whatever the case, Avebury dates to about 2800 BC, 6 centuries older than Stonehenge. And this complex, the St. Peter's Basilica of Neolithic civilization, makes for a fascinating walk. I mean, Rick, our patron St. Rick Steves, says, come here because you'll enjoy it more than Stonehenge. So this Neolithic stone circle here at Avebury is 1,400 feet wide. That's 16 times bigger than Stonehenge. It is so vast that it dwarfs the village that grew up in its midst. Now, we're free to wander around these incredible stones. There's more than 100 of them, ditches and mounds and curious patterns from the past. Now, if you've been to Stonehenge, you'll note that the stones in Stonehenge are actually carved, versus these are not as much carved. They're just erected. They were found and they were erected. Also at Stonehenge, you'll have lintels and the like around it. And it's also a very busy place. But you can see as I steer around, here is the village behind us. It is a remarkable place. In the 14th century, and in an actual frenzy of ignorance and religious paranoia, Avebury villagers buried many of their mysterious pagan stones. Their 18th century descendants hosted social events in which they broke them up, and they broke up the remaining stones, they toppled them, they heat them up, they doused them with cold water, and then they would scavenge broken stones for the building blocks of the village. Now, in modern times, these buried stones were dug up and re-erected. Concrete markers show where the missing broken stones once stood. cows. And the rain from earlier today has let loose. We have a beautiful, brisk, but not horrible, about 12 to 14 degrees Celsius. Can't do that calculation in my head, but I would guess it's in the upper 50s, maybe mid 50s. But absolutely beautiful. Walk across the top of this berm, and you can see the 4,600 years ago how this was put together. Avebury is a place that encourages you to get out and touch and explore. Even walking within a few stones is rewarding. And you could stroll the entire half to three quarters of a mile around the circle, much of it along an impressive high earthwood hedge, which is that 30-foot high outer band surrounding the ditch, which is 30 feet deep. Now, that earthen rampart once had stones standing around its perimeter, placed around 30 feet apart, and had four grand entrances. And originally, there was also two smaller circles made of around 200 stones that stood within the big henge. So it's this open airness, this incredible, incredible place. Just sings. I have been to Stonehenge, and you should go to Stonehenge. But this is different. This is real, and this is beautiful. The bus is here. All right, so we're sitting outside the Red Lion, the pub inside the circle, waiting for a table to open up here in about 20 minutes so we can go and have a delicious little lunch here. Again, this is it's the largest stone circle in the world, only one that has a church and a pub inside. It's kind of kitschy that way, but pretty cool place. I was very moved by it. I was here in August with Josh, and this is kind of my kind of place, kind of mysterious and kind of ooh and ah for me. Now, perhaps Jackie has a slightly different take on it.
It was a nice walk.
Did the stones speak to you?
No.
No, the stones didn't speak to you at all?
No.
Didn't you hear anything?
I heard you.
Could you hear the wind?
Yes.
Okay. Because it's in the wind that the stones are talking to you.
Okay. I enjoyed the views.
The views were nice. So, again, we're looking forward to a very nice lunch here, and then we'll be heading off to Glastonbury. So that'll be our next stop. See you soon.